Hello, everyone, and especially warm welcome to our colleagues from LATAM. Thank you for joining our session today. My name is Sigalit Kaidar, and I'm the product marketing here at Fortinet. Joining me today is Arturo Torres. Arturo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And my name is Arturo Torres. I'm the principal FortiGuard this year from Latin America. And yeah, we have something special prepared for you guys.
Thank you, Arturo. So, in this session, we are going to pull the curtain on today's active cyber risks and talk about the threat intelligence our FortiGuard Labs teams is seeing and monitoring. We will discuss recent attackers' activities, what they are doing, planning, and using to infiltrate organizations. We are also going to share some actionable tips and insights on how Fortinet can help you to be proactive and protect your network, sensitive assets, customer employees, and your partners or supply chain vendors. But before we get started, let's take a minute to talk about the attack surface and what it actually means. So, digital transformation helped us change how and where we do business, which also resulted in an increased attack surface. So, what do we mean by attack surface or threat landscape? And how can we best manage risks, detect exposures, and remediate them early? Traditionally, when we talk about our attack surface, we were very much concerned about the interior. What is inside our perimeter? Do we have the right access policy in place? Do we protect our endpoints? Do we implement the right patches, the right security controls and frameworks internally? But attacks start from the outside our firewalls. And they don't start by immediately hacking an organization. This usually happens at a later stage in the attack. When we talk about the outside, we mean the external attack surface is the sum of all potential threats and access points into your environment. It includes thousands or even tens of thousands of internet facing assets. Some of these assets are known, but others are unknown, like orphaned servers, domains, IT infrastructures that might be unpatched or misconfigured and therefore exposed to threats. And threat actors are constantly scanning for unpatched or misconfigured assets. These are the low hanging fruits that attackers are looking for. But your external attack surface is even bigger than that. Also includes cyber related risks to your brand. And brand impersonation attacks are on the rise, and for a good reason too, because it's extremely easy. Setting up fake websites, fake social media accounts, or even fake mobile apps is one of the easiest ways to impersonate a brand, taking advantage of your brand reputation to deceive your customers and employees into providing their passwords or credit card information. Arturo, you and your team at FortiGuard Labs just published the Global Threat Landscape Report. Can you give us a short recap of what you've seen, what threats actors are doing, and how they operate?
Yeah, for sure. Well, for start, let me tell you that Fortinet Trend Landscape Report provides high-level insights to help every organizations to prioritize and implement appropriate security measures, right? Uh, so one of the things that we need to understand here, and you said an amazing way, right? Where your attack surface gaps in detection, mitigation, and of course, and response, right? So this is more vital than ever. So let me give you some examples of that, and keep in mind that this report is a collective intelligence drawn for uh, a lot of sensors that we have been deployed around the world that are detecting threat activity in live environments, right? So during this period, this is the second half of 2023 FortiGuard Trend Landscape Report. We observed a lot of APT activity groups, targeted ransomware attacks, new botnets, some interesting things that we add in this report. But let me give you some examples of that. For example, we introduced something that is called the red zone. So what is red zone means? So this is how likely or unlikely it's the threat actors would exploit a specific vulnerability in your endpoint. And we get this data from endpoint. We extract vulnerabilities from endpoint using our FortiClient solution, but also we use the IPS sensor from our FortiGate, our next generation firewalls, to extract all the CVEs that we detect around the world that try to be exploited, right? And we find some interesting things about it. For example, we continue to see the threat actors to exploit all vulnerabilities over 15 years old, right? And most of the organizations are experiencing that kind of exploitation attempts. So this gives the importance that we need to be very, very careful with our patch management and vulnerability management strategy, right? So other things that I want to highlight here, for example, it's the ransomware attacks. So critical industries are top targets of ransomware attacks right now. So all these ransomware operators, they always try to find new victims, right? But as we have in our 2024 threat predictions report, we forecast that all those specific threat actors, ransomware actors, they want to be more find specific targets for specific critical industries, right? And we talk about, for example, healthcare, manufacturing, finance. So those OT heavy environments are particularly susceptible to cause outages, so which greatly increases the pressure of pay the ransom demands, right? So we put all this kind of information here, and not only ransomware detections or ransomware attacks. We are looking for other type of the attacks of critical infrastructure. For example, wiper strains. So what's the difference between ransomware and wiper? We already know that ransomware malware, they try to encrypt all the data, but imagine that there's another malicious artifact like wiper that they can destroy all the specific data, even the operating system, right? So they can destroy all your environment. So this is why we need to be careful with that, right? And the right question here, or maybe the biggest question every time that we talk about this, as it's what we can do about it, right? Okay, we already understand and we already see this kind of exploitations, ransomware actors. So what we can do? Well, we can use tactics, we can use strategy, and for that we have an amazing things to do it. We just add the MITRE ATT&CK framework on this report. If you don't know what MITRE ATT&CK is, so it's a widely used repository of adversary tactics, techniques, and procedures. And the amazing thing here is that that specific framework offers a common language of real world observations, right? So all the organizations can use all the intelligence on how are the behaviors of the attacker, what kind of tools they are trying to use, and we can use that to improve our cybersecurity strategy, right? So many of our solutions offer visibility across the MITRE ATT&CK framework and TDPs, and we can understand what we are looking using our solutions using the MITRE ATT&CK framework, right? So I like to highlight two views. So if you can see, the left hand is a MITRE ATT&CK matrix collected for all the malware samples that we collect or detonate in our FortiSandbox cluster in FortiGuard Labs. So let's imagine that we already have a lot of cybersecurity sensors, FortiGuard sensors around the world, and those sensors are detecting new or suspicious files, right? So we can send them to a cluster of FortiSandbox to detonate the file, right? So because we already detect maybe the malicious file, or maybe it's a new strain of malicious file, but we can send it over there and we can activate the malware just to extract the post exploitations, right? And extract all the TTPs on that. And we can understand, for example, that there's a lot of the new malware strains has a lot of techniques. For example, like defense evasion, right? Or maybe they want to move it laterally to get more data, right? Or infect other devices, right? And in the right hand, we can see an attacks matrix for so the source of the TTPs that you are looking there, it's from network and we are using network detection and response solutions to understand what's happening and what is the malicious activity that we are detecting across the network, right? So these two different sources of data give us all the information that we want to know to improve our cybersecurity strategy, right? So let me tell you something very, very interesting because we are using our solutions to understand the behaviors of the attackers. But if I can tell you that we are looking, for example, a lot of exploit techniques, malware strains, botnet activities around the world, but also we take all the data and all the detections that we are getting, for example, from our FortiGates, that is the first line of defense of the organizations. So we are looking, for example, what are the most initial access techniques that the attackers try to perform to get access to your organizations and gather more data or do malicious stuff over there. So there's, for example, active scanning. They try to exploit public facing applications through the vulnerabilities. They try to use, for example, brute force attacks, and we list what are the most uh, exploited protocols that they're trying to attack, and also denial of service, right? For this specific source of data. So we can use all these different sources of data to understand what is happening over there, right? And we can use that to improve our cybersecurity strategy. And the TTPs can help us to go to the MITRE ATT&CK uh, uh, website, and we can get, for example, the detections and the mitigations that we can use to put any cybersecurity control to detect or mitigate that specific threats that we are looking, right? And this helps us, for example, to moving forward to how can we improve our cybersecurity strategy, right? So let me tell you something, right? Just imagine if you want to know the behaviors of your enemy, you must become your enemy, right? You need to think like he thinks, right? So let's talk about, for example, we talk about all the telemetry detections that we put in our report and the intelligence that we gather from them, but also we have information, for example, the threat actors that they are operating, for example, in dark web, right? So most of them try to uh, get credentials to get access to the organizations. And those are, we put all an amazing blog on this specific report to talk about the pricing of the access credentials on dark web forums. We talk about what are the most leaked credentials that we are seeing on the dark web. And this is the level of vulnerabilities exhibit on the organization, right? So if you are using these specific applications over there, you need to understand if those specific credentials or applications were leaked on the dark web, right? And let me tell you about it because this kind of information always come from a specific malicious activity. For example, like the credential stealers, right? And those are a type of malware that try to get credentials from a customer application or even, for example, on a specific account, right, from the victim. So this kind of information can help an attacker to gain access to secure systems or networks, secret networks, to gather sensitive information, right? So we observed more than 1 million systems infected by credential stealers. And I can tell you, like, for example, Redline Stealer, Raccoon Stealer, their Stealer logs sometimes are available in low prices, even in dark web forums, right? So this is something that we are trying to put in our report to give you all the information, not only from our telemetry, but also for darknet. And also we try to correlate and put it on a simple framework like MITRE ATT&CK framework to get more intelligence on that and be prepared to face all the challenges that the organizations are facing right now. So this is one of the things that we want to share with you, and keep in mind that you need to be prepared, right? Your cybersecurity strategy, it's stronger than how the intelligence you consume, how prepared you are, and how you understand the trend landscape, right? So we can do a lot of things over there. We have a great information, even from what you can do at the first, how can you can understand all the information and all the things that your organization are facing. Sigalit, I don't know if you want to share with us what strategy we can use for this kind of cybersecurity improvement.
Yes, of course. So many of the attacks and techniques you just heard about are current and potential attacks that many security teams are very much concerned with. And here at Fortinet, we provide multiple tools to help you detect and stop attacks at a very early stage of in the kill chain. And one of them is FortiRecon. So FortiRecon is our digital risk protection service. It combines three modules, as you can see here: the attack surface management, brand protection, and adversary-centric intelligence, which is a dark web monitoring to provide you with a complete view of all potential and imminent internal and external risks attacker can exploit, and the intel you need to defend against these attacks. This service operates from the outside and the inside of the organizational perimeter and maps an organization's digital footprint and continuously monitor and alert on known, unknown, exposed, vulnerable assets, impersonation and brand abuse, phishing campaigns, malicious dark web activities, attack intel related to organizations and its supply chain vendors or third parties and more. FortiGuard Labs experts like Arturo and his team enhance the offering with guidance on prioritization and provides targeted threat research and intelligence. Our experts have access to these invite only attackers forums, so they monitor them closely and alert on any threats to your organizations or your third party. This service is available as a stackable modules. You can license FortiRecon ESM as a standalone service or combine it with brand protection or both with brand protection and adversary centric intelligence for complete coverage. Plus, the internal attack surface management can be added to all bundles. This means that customers can license exactly what they need and when they need it. It's very much um, plug and play service, the onboarding process complete within hours, where customers can immediately gain valuable insights and actionable remediation information. Also, our customer success team is available as needed. Customer support is included for the duration of the license as well. In just a moment, I'll move to the demo where you can see how simple it is to understand what to focus on. You don't have to be threat experts. Um, we use the exact same techniques adversaries are using in the reconnaissance stage to collect all this information and present it to you. So let's dive into each modules real quick and then move on to the demo. With attack surface management, what we do for you is we continuously discover and monitor your internal and external attack surface to identify internet facing exposed and vulnerable assets and internal vulnerable assets that can be exploited by attackers. The external attack surface scan provides you with an attacker's view into your environment by identifying known and unknown attackers exposed assets and alerts you on exploited vulnerabilities, configuration errors, SSL certificate issues, exposed data services, DNS related issues, credentials, and more. So, what we do is we scan your assets and continuously monitor them to discover all of these issues. What do we mean by assets? An asset can be a domain, subdomain, IP addresses, subnets, servers, open port services. With the internal attack surface monitoring, the internal scan, what we are using is a lightweight scanner container deployed within your network that scans your network to discover connected devices, internal web application and their vulnerabilities, open ports and services. And the scan results are then cross-referenced with FortiGuard Labs threat intel on actively exploited vulnerability to provide you with updated vulnerability score and prioritizations. Next up is the brand protection. Let's move to the next slide, Arturo. Thank you. And with brand protection, our proprietary algorithms detect brand impersonation activities such as fake website, applications, social media accounts, such as fake Facebook accounts, and we can take them down for you. We also look for phishing campaigns using a digital watermark that is added to your web pages. The watermark has built in JavaScript that lets us know where your content is being hosted. When threat actors go to your website and copy pages and try to host them elsewhere to create a phishing campaign, we can see where the website is hosted, and based on its location, we initiate a takedown. We also do domain threat monitoring, so we will monitor for typo squatting if someone registered similar domain, either to capture data and distribute malware. That can be a transposition that you might accidentally type on a keyboard. When we detect this type of issues, especially if we see logos, we also do logo detections. If we see the logo appears on the site or any brand information with the name of your company, if we see that information gets copied from your website to a fake site, we can then alert you and have that site taken down. We can even have the domain transferred under your name. With executive protection, here our goal is to protect high profile individuals within your organizations from phishing attacks, impersonations, account takeovers, data leaks, and more. You add your executive phone numbers, emails, private emails, social media information, and we monitor them. We monitor to see if someone is publishing their information. This is very useful if someone perhaps looking to launch an attack. If we think they may be a target for phishing, we can see if their information is being passed around on dark web forums and let you know about it. And we do the exact same thing for rogue applications. Our team will take down these fake applications. Similarly, with social media, we will monitor your social media presence. We know what your real social media accounts are, and if someone create a fake one, again, usually for some kind of phishing campaign, or maybe it's a well-meaning person who's creating it, but it's impacting your brand, we can, based on copyright infringement, have it taken offline as well. And finally, we also do code repo and storage bucket monitoring. So if you have data stored in Amazon S3 buckets or in Azure or GCP, we'll monitor these sources and look for sensitive data and alert you on that. With the third modules, adversary-centric intelligence, next please, our FortiGuard Labs team actively looks into the dark web, including invitation-only sites where cyber criminals constantly advertise threats and sell data. We alert you on the threat relevant to your organizations or to your third parties. We are curating threat intel that is relevant to you, such as list of new vulnerabilities that are being abused in your industry. It could be also involve detailed information about potential ransomware attacks on your organizations or on one of your vendors. In addition to human intel, we also use AI and ML for collections, which helps us to track the actors, exploit, and vulnerabilities they are planning to use to help our customers take preemptive steps before irreparable damage can be done. We also provide threat and flash alerts. What we are doing is we are monitoring the dark web, looking at different location and curating information. We are then using it to decide what the risks are and prioritize them. For example, what's the greatest risk in your regions or to your sectors, and we are curating this list. We are assessing, we are prioritizing, and creating reports that are useful for various teams. High level reports for executive management, very tactical reports that includes information on attackers techniques, and then we are delivering them through emergency flash reports, threat reports. We put them on our portal, sending them as an email based on the severity. And our FortiGuard Labs teams filter huge amount of information on what is relevant to you as an organization, and provide you very focused, tailored information to help you deal with these threats. And now let's see FortiRecon in action. So here is the FortiRecon dashboards, and what you're seeing here is the Fortinet demo account. It's not real, it's an Akami demo. And this is the overview tab. This is a holistic view that lets you gain immediate situational awareness, know exactly what's going on, and so you can quickly prioritize critical threats across all three modules: the attack surface management, brand protection, and adversary centric intelligence. So everything here is clickable. The MITRE view shows discovered data mapped to the relevant MITRE techniques and sub-techniques to give you more information about attackers' motivations and potential attack paths. As you can see, our dashboard is pretty straightforward. What we hear from customers is that it's really simple to understand and easy to use. Here we have, as I mentioned, the three modules, and here is the attack surface management dashboards. What you're seeing here at the top are the results of the discovery scan and the number of assets we discovered. Here we found 286 assets. An asset is an IP, a server, an open port services, subnets, domains, subdomains. And out of all these assets, there are 25 exposed services and services types, and you can click and see more information about that. Technology discovered is another data point we provide. So if there is a vulnerability in Nginx or Apache, for example, you can just click on it and see more information about it. There are also 2,130 issues. Now, that's a lot of issues, but because this is an intelligence driven platform, you don't have to look at all these 2,100 plus issues right away. FortiRecon uses our FortiGuard threat intel, and what we do is we go through all of these issues and say, okay, out of these 2,100 issues, only 20 are severe issues. But the ones you really need to focus on are the ones that are exploited in the wild right now, which are only three vulnerabilities. You need to take action on these three vulnerabilities first. These are the ones you need to go to and remediate first. In other words, it's all about prioritizing and giving customers like yourself an achievable goal to make real risk reductions to your attack surface. Of course, there are the other two severe issues, and you can start working through these problems and identify why that is the case, and then go and remediate them. Um, Here on the left hand side, you can see the issue progress bars. Customers can see a quick summary of the issue where the issues are divided into their level of severity. And here, you can see the total number of issue and how they issues and how they have been they changed compared to the previous scan. So potentially, we're able to assess whether our security posture is improving or weakening. Everywhere we have an issue, we are able to provide a brief description just to make it easy for you to understand why we are referring to an issue as critical, for example, and or high and more. Here are the credential breach. This is very important. This is very important data point we provide. It's about compromised credentials. And it shows here that we have five compromised credentials for these domains. You can see information about this breach. Here we see these are hash password. It might not be a major risk, so you can make a risk-based decision on that. But sometimes it can be plain text passwords. And if that's the case, you can then integrate it with FortiSOAR to reset your passwords. Here we can see the user email address and more information. So we are continuously monitoring all of the password leaks. And so when we see a database get breached and a list of passwords get compromised, we'll notify you. And we're doing it specifically for your organizations or your third party vendors. The dashboard also provides a short summary of how your assets are distributed globally. You can see where your external facing assets are located. If you're a multinational company, you can look at each different region and click through to see exactly what assets and what issues you have in each one of these locations. The toggle options here um, on the upper left hand side lets you easily switch between ESM, the external attack surface scan, and the ISM, internal attack surface management view. These modules provides continuous monitoring and visibility into your internal network. It alerts on vulnerabilities that can be exploited for lateral movement, and it does this using a lightweight scanner container deployed within your network. So the ISM scan the internal network to discover and map connected devices, internal web application and their vulnerabilities, open ports and services, and the scan results are then transmitted to FortiRecon for centralized analysis and reporting. Then the results are cross-referenced with FortiRecon threat intel on actively exploited vulnerabilities to provide analysts with updated vulnerability scores and prioritization and helping them to quickly understand which vulnerability pose the greatest risks to their organizations and effectively prioritize remediations. Here we can see the FortiRecon versus the NVD severity. Um, we also provide you total issues summary, and that's the ASM modules in a nutshell. Next is the brand protection. And here we provide a summary bar related to all discovered threats. You can also view brand abuse, where your brand's identity or reputation has been misused. On the right hand side, you can see the alert trends as well as information about rogue application and social media related threats. The dashboard also alert on sensitive information that was found on public repos. Let me go here real quick and domain threats, click on that. Let me check typo squatting. And what we're doing here is we are scanning lots of different websites that are out there, websites that are being registered in your domain name. Now, it may be a typo of your domain name, so we'll look for an entire range of websites that have been registered and click on one of the examples here. So we'll look at entire range of websites that have been registered with your branding or are similar to your branding, and provide you with as much information as possible, sometimes even with screenshots. And here you can also initiate a takedown. So once you click takedown, our team in the backend will initiate the process of contacting the registrars, contact, contacting the host provider, and making sure that the site is taking offline. Rogue mobile application. With rogue mobile applications, here we provide a rogue applications monitoring that is very similar to the domain typo squatting. Here we have a list of different applications on different app stores, and we monitor them. And if we see something that is infringing, we can take it down for you. We do exactly the same for social media accounts. We monitor your social media presence. We know what your real social media is. So if someone creates a fake social account, we can take it down for you. With the executive monitoring, what we do here is we put you can add here your executive information. It can be phone number, email addresses, and private email addresses, their social information. And what we do is we monitor them, and we'll alert you if their information is being passed around on the dark web. And finally, the code repo exposure and the storage bucket monitoring. So if you have code out in GitHub, or if you have data stored in Amazon S3 or Azure or GCP, we monitor and let you know if there is any sensitive data that you should be aware of. Okay, let's move to the ACI, the adversary-centric intelligence. And here we replicate the credential exposure, because this is an external attacker got who's got hold of your credential, and it's super important for you. We also have stealer infection, and if someone is trying to sell stealer access, we know if your domain happens to appear in there, and we can negotiate and with the adversaries to purchase the content. Another interesting data point is the associated threats. You can customize it based on the sector and the geography. We also provide you with high relevance report. For the banking organizations, we provide information about debit or credit cards that are for sales on the dark net. And back to real quick to the dashboards, we also provide you um, tons of reports, information about vulnerability exploitation and data breaches as well. Two nice views is the vulnerability intelligence tab. Beside provide you with information about vulnerabilities that are relevant for you. One of the issues with the firewalls of vulnerability that are out there is which ones do you need to care of. So and there's a couple of problem with it, because there may be a CVE that is high severity, but it's really difficult to exploit, and you're not seeing it in the wild. And the flip side is that there might be a medium that is actually being exploited. So sometimes the CVE level isn't really exposing the risk of the actual vulnerability. So what we do is we go through the vulnerabilities we're seeing in the wild, and we are actually actively monitoring globally which CVE, which of these CVEs are being exploited. And because we have the visibility, we can move the severity score up and down, and make recommendations as well. Last but not least is the ransomware intelligence. Here we're currently tracking 123 ransomware groups. We're tracking all of the incidents that they are reporting. There are more than 13,000 incidents of active ransomware. And then the top sector. So we provide you lots of great data points on that. you can also define your watch list. These are organizations, your supply chain that you'd like us to monitor and see if they have been ransomware, and then let you know early enough. We also provide information about latest ransomware victims and potential ransomware victims. And these are the early warning, the potential ransomware victims, early warnings where you may have discovered an adversary that's going to sell information before it is made public, and we will notify you about it. So here too, we have lots of rich information on our ransomware tab. And this is all. We hope you enjoyed today's demo session on FortiRecon and what it can do for your organizations. For more information about Fortinet's FortiRecon service, including the 3 modules we discussed today, visit our fortinet.com.
Great, thank you for the demo. Let me tell you something, because most of our customer uses FortiRecon to detect the threats in the early stage of, for example, the cyber culture, right? So this is a great example how we can use the same techniques that the attackers are trying to perform, but we can use it to understand how can we improve in our cybersecurity strategy, right? So this helps you to make the right decisions at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope you found it informative and useful. And please join us for our next session.